The symphony of struggle. Sounds negative, doesn't it? I mean, even a little struggle seems unfortunate, let alone an entire symphony. That is, until you pull back the curtain. Because what we're deconstructing is a beautiful orchestral musical composition, where the entirety of the result is more than the sum of its parts. Each note is emergent. Each piece dissipates into something greater, like drops of rain falling into the ocean. It comes down to this. The pain, the difficult moments, they are not an obstacle in the way of the thing. No, they comprise the thing. Hard to see, hard to understand. The same way, someone picks up a guitar and plucks one note, it's incredibly anticlimactic. There's nothing special. There's no way you're seeing value in a random G sharp. But wait. Connect that to its accompanying notes. Allow it to play its part in an overall theme, and we have beauty. It transforms into a power so magnificent, it can bring any man to their knees. I grew up in a military household. Father's side of the family was Army, mother's side was Navy. And I remember when I was young, bouncing in and around Mass Maritime's campus, I'd hear that famous JFK quote referenced from time to time, where he said, all of us have in our veins the exact same percentage of salt in our blood that exists in the ocean. And therefore, we have salt in our blood, in our sweat, in our tears. We are tied to the ocean. And when we go back to the sea, whether it is to sail or to watch it, we're going back from whence we came. And while that ratio is not exactly spot on, the sentiment is received. It's a beautiful message. And this idea, it sparks something within me. The thought that we are comprised of the world around us, dust from stars miraculously brought to life. A piece in an incomprehensible wheel of life, a part of a whole. And I believe you can take this same concept and apply it to our individual struggle, our adversity, our pain. By itself, that pain is at best insignificant, and at worst, detrimental, right? That's how we feel. But put it all together. It is what makes us. Our courage in moments of fear is the DNA comprising that thing we call reality. Life can be broken down and traced right back to those moments we stood at the edge of comfortability with shaky hands wondering what the world had in store for us. Our battles, they become the precursor to our strength, our understanding. The lessons become our armor. We are the sea, just like we are the ocean of crossroads that we've had to navigate. A symphony of moments where we moved headfirst into chaos. And so what does all this mean? Well, when you feel the pain of life, and I think it's fair we leave it that broad, that general, as life's beauty does not exist without pain, you must remember that value is unrecognizable until it compounds over time. The hurt now, the very reason you want to stop now, the reason you question everything now will be the reason you win later. You're not battling and discarding these demons. You're navigating and letting the lessons ring into the symphony of your life. You are taking it with you, not some of it, all of it. In fact, When you are on the mountaintop, it will not be because of an absence of pain, but because of what you turned that pain into. Because of what you let the suffering become. Because you didn't castigate it as misfortune, but instead understood you and the suffering are one in the same. Hindsight's 2020. The best you can do now is understand that. To know that there are things you don't know, that you can't know, that are impossible to know. But that your heart, your soul, your courage will ultimately make sense of it all. And just keep moving. And I know it hurts. I know what being lost and stuck and alone and confused feels like. Just keep moving. Because you are composing, writing, narrating the greatest story ever told, one seemingly unfortunate moment of struggle at a time. There's a voice that follows us through life. Sometimes loud, sometimes barely a whisper, but always there. Telling us to stay small, to play safe, to know your place. For a while, we listen. We listen because to stand tall is to risk being seen. To take a swing is to risk missing. To dream is to risk heartbreak. And so we do the logical thing. We shrink. Tuck away our ambitions. Lower our eyes. Learn to merely survive. But hidden underneath the noise of the world, buried beneath layers of doubt and fear, sleeps a giant. A force so immense it could change everything. It is a giant waiting for you to remember. When I was young, I believed the world was mine. And get this, I didn't have a resume. I didn't have experience. What I had was a heart full of fire and a mind that saw zero limitation. I'd stand in front of the mirror and imagine a future NBA player or rock star, movie producer, climbing mountains, sailing oceans. But by default, subtly, life whispered, "Come on now, be realistic. Tone it down, stay in line." And piece by piece, I traded wonder for compliance. I traded dreams for routines. I traded what my heart wanted for society's instruction manual. I thought perhaps that fire was gone as I made my way into the world, but that giant doesn't die. It sleeps. See, the giant inside you is not made of what you do. It's made of who you are. It's the book you've never written, but you still dream about. The business you imagine when no one's around. It's the conversations you rehearse in your mind, but don't say out loud. The mountains you stare at in awe, wondering, could I? That giant is the real you. Unshackled by fear. It's that song you've never sung, but still your soul knows every word. There's a myth we tell ourselves that our greatest days are behind us, that our magic is somehow lost. But the truth is that it's all still there, waiting. Because the giant inside you does not leave. It doesn't retire. Certainly doesn't forget. It waits. Patiently. Quietly. Until one day we hear its call. For me, it came on a day just like any other day. Nothing spectacular. It's never anything spectacular. It's not cinematic or profound. Just a small moment. A reflection. A realization that I was living half alive. Playing it safe while my life, was slipping by. And in that quiet heartbreak, something shifted. And I need you to understand, I need this to sink in. It was not a battle cry, it was a whisper. Hey, maybe there's more here. And sometimes that's all you need. The first crack in the wall, the first light through darkness, the first step towards waking the giant inside you. When the giant stirs, the world changes. You start moving differently, speaking differently, choosing differently. You no longer ask for permission. You no longer seek validation. You no longer apologize for wanting more. It is your right. You realize you were never meant to live small. You were never meant to fit in. No, you were here to build and dream and climb and dance and shout your truth into the heavens with a voice so loud that the very mountains echo it back. You were made to live. Because the truth is, you're not broken. And as hard as this feels, you are not lost, you are not late, you are simply asleep. But that giant is stirring, and if you put your hand over your chest, you can feel it. The world needs you awake. So today I ask you, what would happen if you answered the call? What would happen if you trusted the fire inside you even when the world told you not to? What would happen if you stopped shrinking and started standing? Because the world does not need another shadow. It needs you. It needs you alive and awake and unapologetically yourself. When fear says stay small, awaken that giant. When doubt says be quiet, let your giant speak. When life says, hey, know your place, let your giant break the walls down. There is a giant within you, and it's time to wake up. The world is waiting. Silence is loud. Places I never went, the action I never took, things I didn't say, they still ring in my ears. They echo across time, but not in the way you might think. See, they arrive and fall before me at my feet, not as regret, but as a reminder that life isn't over. They appear, rather, as an invitation to transcend past limitation and step into that ever-elusive idea we often refer to as what can be. Do you remember that feeling being a kid, let's say second grade? Put yourself in a desk, looking up to the front of the classroom. Teacher asks a question, and you know the answer. Well, at least you're pretty sure you know. But there's a seed of doubt. What if it misses the mark? What if it's not quite there? You mull it over and ultimately keep your hands in your pockets and your head down, only for someone else to raise their hand. The teacher chooses them, they answer the question. They give the same answer you were going to give. Not only correct, but wow, excellent, nailed it. That was a tough one too. Round of applause. Good job, Student X. Student X, with possessing both the right answer and the courage to be wrong, if that's the result fate were to cast upon him. And the thought, it replays in your mind. It's like, I was going to say that. I knew that. And then suddenly there's a shift. Student X's response gets quieter and quieter. It fades into the background. What was said is no longer relevant. All you can hear now are the jarring, droning echoes dispersed from the abyss your nothingness created. Your silence screams so loud that it penetrates every ounce of your being. The question, it was trivial. The response didn't matter. It was never about that, was it? It was, rather, a microcosm of the crossroads we face in life over and over again, way beyond second grade. The question, do we act and risk the fall in exchange for the mountaintop, or do we pause, hesitate, and invite into our worlds a silence so excruciating it cannot be outrun? A silence that covers every corner of your reality, a silence that moves where you move and goes where you go. It lives until you find the courage to speak. Every once in a while, it's beyond valuable to be reminded that life is finite. It doesn't seem like it right now. It doesn't seem like it from your desk or out the car window as you drive your kids to school. It doesn't seem like it in traffic. It doesn't seem like it in the weight room by yourself or putting your thoughts to paper at the kitchen table before the rest of the world wakes up. But none of this, my friends, is here to stay. It all goes, every single thing. And so here's the switch I'm advocating be made. In soccer and in hockey, when a team's losing by one very late in the second half or third period, they often pull the goalie, leaving their own net wide open. How vulnerable. But in doing so, they simultaneously increase their odds to score, because the goalie now acts as another attacker. Again, it is a gamble for sure, But down by one, when time is running out, who cares? It gives you a chance. And I don't see how life is any different. We're all here for a length of time that equates to a blink of an eye. We are a raindrop in a thunderstorm. The siren is about to sound. The whistle is about to blow. In a million years, why would you not pull the goalie? Why would you sit there in a self-created silence wondering what life could have looked like if only you gave more? This is the one and only opportunity to pour all of yourself into something before something becomes nothing and the march of time leaves you in the rear view. Yeah, maybe you win and maybe you don't. But the ticking clocks, they're playing a different game altogether, and to win yours, you must understand theirs. Silence is louder than a swing and a miss. It's louder than a courageous soul who misjudges an approach and smashes into the ground. It's louder than the lessons life graciously hands out to those willing to step into the belly of the beast. Silence is loud. So go scream your truth unto the world. Go make your mark. No, not for vanity, but because of the same question previously alluded to. Why not? As far as I'm concerned, odds don't dictate reality as much as they shape perspective. You shouldn't be here. The statistical likelihood is just too small. Your existence has attached to it almost impossible odds, yet here you are. And you have the audacity, given this info, to sit there in silence. You're delusional, selfish, wasteful enough to not go, to not try, to not unpack the gift at your feet and make your way into the world. My friend, your silence screams. So go. Leave in your wake a trail of courage that screams louder. Leave behind you a message to the world that you weren't given much time. No, not much time at all. But you were given enough time. Your snapshot in the movie of eternity, your verse in the great play of life, your chapter in the book of existence, it will read like the miracle that it is. Oh, miracle. That's a big word. That's a lot of pressure. But no, it's not about the magnitude of your decision making. It's about walking through those little doors in life that terrify you. It's about saying yes to those opportunities that put knots in your stomach and cause your hands to shake. It's about sharing your voice, delivering your thoughts, even when you don't know how they'll be received. It's walking the path you know in your soul you need to be walking. The silence is deafening. So speak into that void, make something you can call your own, chip away at the marble until what's precious remains. So be louder than the dissenting voices. Be louder than the ticking clocks. Be louder than the setting sun. Be so loud that even if, for a brief, single moment in time, the world knew you were here. The sands of time may have buried you, as they'll bury us all. But in my mind, you live on. In my mind, there you are. smiling the way you used to, lighting up the room the way you once did. You even laugh at my jokes when no one else does, which I'm sure is not easy for even the memory of you to do. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Well, because he was outstanding in his field, obviously. See, that's what we're working with here. Or maybe that is up your alley. I'm not sure, I was too young to remember. But I do remember piling in the car and going to the button store. That's what you'd tell us. Remember? Okay, we'd say, just excited to be there. Then you'd pull up to Four Seasons ice cream and it would be like Christmas in July. You made a lot of people feel like Christmas in July. Maybe you were Christmas in July. I talk about you a lot. Maybe too much. Sometimes people say I remind them of you. And I always take that as a compliment because in my mind you were perfect. But I've gotten older. And I know now that you couldn't have been perfect, you were human. It's so odd growing up and learning that even the people you look up to the most in life are flawed. It's weird learning that not even your parents, the king and queen of your world, have all the answers. Nah, we're all just trying to figure this damn thing out, aren't we? We think we're more sophisticated than cavemen dancing around the fire 40,000 years ago, but sometimes I wonder. Oh, I moved to Arizona. I live down the street from Aunt Julie. It's fun to be able to see her. You know, she tells me stories about you guys as kids, how you like to push the envelope. You'd always get into trouble, but it would always be this sort of calculated trouble. Like even when the wheels were falling off the wagon, you somehow stayed in control. And I'm not sure that's the best way to describe it, but it's what I've got. She mentions how she always felt safe with you. And I think that's so cool. Like, what's more beautiful than being the source of someone's safety? What's more meaningful than putting someone at ease? Sometimes I wonder what you'd say about where I am now, what I do for a living. I even wonder if you'd be disappointed that I never went into the military. That may be one of my true regrets. At least 4 years, but I'm planning to help give back in other ways. It's not so much that I'm craving your approval, although subconsciously that's certainly possible. It feels more so, I wonder how I'd measure up. I went to Mass Maritime Academy a few years back and spoke to the cadets in the field across from the statue of you, and Mom, Dad, Nana, everyone was there. I shared a few lessons you taught me when I was younger. I did the same thing to a room full of state police in Idaho. It always seems to connect. I think because it's just real. I don't feel the need to be anything or play a role or be a character. Just a mere messenger, that's all. A distributor of value, and there's something precious about that. Oh, a lot of people know the phrase, "You're always stronger than you think you are." Because of you, Gramps. I told this story in around 2015 in one of my videos, and it really resonated with people. It's great perspective. I'll never forget you being sick and telling Nana not to worry, that the tumor was no big deal, that it was, quote, all in your head. Okay, maybe I do get the dad jokes from you, but that blows me away. Because another thing I've learned over the years is that life is hard. It can be so hard. But you, even in your toughest moments, you never made it about yourself. Ever. In fact, you'd go out of your way with humor and compassion and love to make sure those around you didn't feel your pain. Long story short, I won't get into it now, but because societally we sort of lost our way for a few years, we're relearning what basic things are Masculinity being one of them. It's everywhere, online, in public discourse. And every time it comes up, my mind goes right to how you made us feel. I think about you and Dad putting family first. Not telling, but leading. Always. Being a rock in our lives. Anyway, I won't take up too much of your time. I'm sure you're sailing the ocean blue up there. Actually, this wasn't even supposed to be a note to you. I was planning to write about little hinges. About how there are some small, frictionless things we can do in life that make a monumental difference. Perhaps even things we wouldn't anticipate being as powerful as they are. And this morning I was having some coffee before the sun came up. You know, that little stretch of time between 4:30 and 6:30. How it's so beautiful anticipating the full day to come. It's so quiet. I started thinking that I should enjoy it. Because that sun will ultimately set, as your sun has. My story will be no different. But your sun, I remember its warmth on my skin. I remember how it illuminated even the darkest of rooms. I remember its rays dancing overhead, reminding us of your presence. Perhaps recalling that warmth is my little hinge, my engine, my why. And I'll do my best to pass it along, to help others feel it. I think most importantly to remind them that they have that same light within them. Entire worlds within them, in fact. And so, Gramps, goodbye for now and happy sailing. I'm sure I'll see you again, where the ocean and the sky intersect. I'm going to share one of the most important lessons I've ever learned, along with the different sort of unconventional way that I've learned it. So bear with me for a second while I set the scene. Last week I did, for the second time, what I refer to as a broken marathon. Let me explain what that is. It takes exactly 24 hours to complete. And what it is at the top of every hour, for 24 straight hours, you run exactly 1.1 miles, which in totality adds up to a little bit more than the 26.2 miles standard for a marathon. Here's why it's tricky though. An actual marathon, like in the traditional sense, is challenging for obvious reasons. It's non-stop, it's incredibly tough on the body, the physical exertion, right? This, on the other hand, or what I'm referring to as the broken marathon, is difficult for an entirely different reason. Sure, it's difficult on the body, but it's the mental discomfort one endures trying to complete it that is truly the obstacle. Because, for someone in relatively good shape to, at noon, run 1.1 miles, come back, rest until 1 p.m. At 1 p.m., run 1.1 miles, come back in a few minutes, rest until 2 p.m. At 2 p.m., run 1.1 miles, come back, rest until 3 p.m., right? You get the idea. Physically, that's not that bad, at least at the beginning, right? But here's what's tough. It's the little aches and pains you start having to navigate around as your body gets tired. It's the darkness and cold from midnight until 5 a.m. It's the sleep deprivation. It's at times moments of boredom and loneliness. I think most significantly, in my mind, it's that feeling that you don't even need to be out there doing it. It's all self-inflicted, which I'll get to in a little bit here. So we started at noon on a Thursday with the intent to going to, roughly noon on a Friday the next day, straight through. But we did a few things a little differently. One, instead of going around the neighborhood, I got some very close friends and we went into the middle of the desert, decided to do it under the stars. Second is, instead of running the 1.1 miles, we all put on rucking backpacks with 30 pounds in them and decided to ruck or walk with those 30-pound backpacks for the 1.1 mile stretches. So a little different, mixed it up. And what I'm gonna do now is break the 24 hours down into 3 chapters, which should immediately show you the parallels to life, right? It's surprisingly apparent. Chapter 1, arriving. So we find a spot, we park the cars, set up a canopy to create some shade. We grab our 30-pound backpacks and we go. The first 1.1 mile lap or trip. It's easy, fun even, exciting. We use the GPS on our watches to find the best 1.1 mile loop through the desert. Life was good. And I would say the first 10 laps or so fit that description. It's like the brain can't even comprehend how something like this can be difficult. It's a walk in the park. We're getting back, putting our feet up between laps, snacking on some sunflower seeds, just smooth sailing. Then comes chapter 2, darkness. And they say life can change quickly. I think few things epitomize that more blatantly than the feeling of that beautiful sunset turning into complete darkness. It was us and the moon. By midnight rolls around, 1 a.m. We have lawn chairs around the fire, people trying to get comfortable in their chairs, taking power naps. Some folks are taping blisters on their feet, stretching, trying to loosen up. It's incredible to me how quickly the fun can leave the equation and unveil this sense of seriousness, right? It's like, oh, this is a thing now, And I learned from the last time I did one of these that the hardest part was waking up 5 minutes before, you have to do the next lap when your body wants to sleep. So I decided this time to take a different approach. No sleeping at all, just cold brew, coffee drinks. This is only 24 hours, tough it out, right? Into the darkness, headlamps illuminating the 5 feet in front of us as we navigated the emptiness of the desert. Could hear both the beautiful and eerie howling of the coyotes in the distance. A foot injury ended up taking out one of our buddies. Another one had his knees start acting up and threw on a few compression sleeves. It would certainly be dramatic to call it hell, right? But it became very clear that this wasn't the cakewalk that the newbies thought it might be. It's very much a game of enduring, of turning the brain off and like a robot programmed to do one thing, standing up when the alarm at the top of the hour sounded, and moving one step at a time. See, in these moments I can tell you exactly why it's so hard to continue moving forward. Because it's not that you can't, right? It's not that the 30-pound rucksacks are the adversary, or even the darkness, the sleep deprivation. It's all those things combining, creating a little voice that whispers, you don't need to be here. This is silly. You're a 36-year-old dude walking through the desert for no reason. You have things to do tomorrow and the next day. You're putting the important things in jeopardy. Stop. Go sit by the fire. Go relax. You don't need this nonsense. And that's why the dark is so dangerous. It tells you everything that is not conducive to your success. Darkness is a lobbyist for mediocrity. It's amazing to me. It's just how rarely it is that we can't do things. It's that we talk ourselves out of it. We rationalize. It's easier not to. Chapter 3, Hope. Laps 19 to 24. The sun coming up. It's amazing how meaningful that is in and of itself, the excitement, right? You made it through the hardest part, the dark hours. Haven't slept in a full day, but somehow that light helps you find within yourself another burst of life. You feel like if you can walk out of the other side of that, then the remainder's easy, nothing. Everyone's feet hurt a little more, right? Hamstrings were stiff. People aren't walking so much as they're limping around, right? Just the wear and tear. But your brain looks back and essentially knows you can navigate what remains, right? Plus, you've come this far. Who waits until the sun comes up and, quits then? That doesn't make sense. That's not a thing. And so you waltz on through chapter 3. Maybe on one leg, but you do. And then you're done. Just like that, right? This chaos you manufactured, this seemingly trivial, unnecessary trip with the guys suddenly makes sense. Because you feel in your soul like you just did something most people would not do. That ever elusive warmth that lights you up when you know you just personally evolved in the face of adversity. And so, 2 days out looking back, what am I left with? Well, two things, two very important things. The first is that in our darkest moments, there will, period, always, there will be a voice whispering that you don't need to be doing what you're doing. It will be highlighting off-ramps, alternative plans. It will be making excuses for you, telling you that it doesn't matter. There are other ways, options, avenues to explore. It will light that metaphorical fire and say, hey, it's warm over there. So just sit there. After all, this isn't a requirement. This isn't defining. But if you can find the strength to march straight through that moment, to carry yourself right into the heart of the night, you'll see that it mattered more than you could have ever believed, because knowing you're the type of person who endures, who doesn't stop, when you take the ruck off and leave the desert, it becomes who you are. Starting a business is a ruck through the desert. That first month where it's hard to make ends meet, where the customers aren't what you thought they'd be or hoped they would. Very easy to say, oh, maybe this isn't that important. Maybe I'll just take the backpack off and sit by the fire, right? What do? Maintaining a healthy relationship is a ruck through the desert. Passing the class in school is a ruck through the desert. That's the gift at that 24-hour stretch presented to me. Eddie, when it's darkest, what will you do? And second, having done 2 of these now, I can attest to how incredible it is to be around people on the same mission, to push and inspire one another, to help keep the fire lit, share supplies, laugh from time to time about how random the whole thing is, but to keep that flame burning. When people around you grit their teeth and step into the darkness, makes it a hell of a lot easier for you to do the same. So surround yourself with people who, when that alarm clock goes off at the top of the hour, suit up and start walking the path. Hemingway once wrote, "The world breaks everyone down, and afterward many are strong at the broken places." Well, I would encourage you to push beyond normalcy. just far enough to crack, far enough to let the light shine through. We endure broken marathons because when we put ourselves back together, the reflection in the mirror towers over what once was. We let life break us down in order to construct what we otherwise could never have had. And so let this be your sign, your reminder, whatever you want to call it. When the voice whispers in your ear that it doesn't matter, let this be a promise that it does. Let this remind you that you are strong enough to crack and let that light shine through.